Darth Vader didn't fall to the dark side because he was evil. He fell because he believed fear only had one voice, and that voice was telling him there was only one door out of a burning building. Think about it. When 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker stood before the Jedi Council, they sensed fear in him and rejected him. Years later, when that same fear whispered, "Padme will die," he heard, "Join the dark side or lose her forever." But what if fear was actually saying something completely different? And what if it was saying Padme is in danger and his mind just filled in the rest? Fear loves corners. It backs you into them, then points at the walls and says, "See? No exits." But corners are often illusions. Picture a man stepping out of an alley with a gun. He gives you a simple equation. Your money or your life. 2 options. Clean. Binary. Fear thrives on binaries. Yet someone like Harvey Specter would laugh at the framing. There are never just 2 options. There are 1,001. You could run, you could shout, you could distract, you could fight, you could do something unthinkable, something stupid, something brave. Fear hates imagination. It collapses the future into a narrow hallway and turns off the lights. Why does fear do this so convincingly? Maybe because it's old, older than language, older than philosophy. Back when we were just upright animals listening to bushes rustle, fear didn't need nuance. The ones who paused to debate probabilities didn't pass on their genes. The ones who ran did. Fear wasn't designed to be accurate. It was designed to be fast. That worked well when the problem had stripes and teeth. It works less well when the problem is abstract. Love, power, time, mortality. Here's the thing about fear. It's not a GPS with turn-by-turn directions. It's more like a smoke alarm. When it goes off, it's not telling you to jump out the window. It's telling you there's smoke. What you do with that information, that's where the magic happens. When young Anakin had visions of Padme dying in childbirth, fear flagged it. Danger ahead. But then Anakin's mind took over and wrote the rest of the script. The only way to save her is to become more powerful. The only way to become more powerful is through the dark side. But was that really the only interpretation? What if he had heard fear's warning and thought, I need to find the galaxy's best medical team, or I should study healing through the Force, or maybe these visions are showing me what happens if I continue down my current path. The light side had power too. The Jedi archives contained thousands of years of knowledge. Master Yoda was 900 years old. Surely he knew something about preventing death through wisdom rather than force. But Anakin never explored these options because he thought fear was giving him specific instructions when it was really just waving a red flag. This is the trap we all fall into. Fear waves a flag and we think we know exactly what it means. Take the classic thought experiment. Tomorrow scientists announce they can upload human consciousness into computers. Earth is dying. Fear immediately whispers, what if you're not really you inside the machine? Most people hear that and think fear is saying, don't do it, but step back. What if fear is actually saying, this is important, think carefully? Because when you actually examine it logically, staying in your dying body on a dying planet might be the real risk. Fear flagged the decision as critical. You decided what that meant. Let's look at Caesar and Brutus in the show Rome. When graffiti appeared on Roman walls showing Brutus killing Caesar, fear pinged. Threat detected. Caesar heard send Brutus away. But he could have heard talk to Brutus, or investigate who's creating this propaganda, or strengthen the bonds of friendship, or 100 other interpretations. Instead, his response confirmed Brutus's worst suspicions. As Brutus said, only tyrants need fear tyrant slayers, and you always say you are not a tyrant. Caesar's interpretation of fear created the very thing he feared, Mark Antony and Octavian. After Caesar's death, fear surely warned Antony about the boy who would become Augustus. Fear said, this person is dangerous. Antony could have heard kill him, but he also could have heard mentor him, or make him an ally, or give him a role where his ambition serves you. And if had listened and killed him as a boy, why stop there? Why not kill all the boys? The pattern repeats throughout history. Fear raises a concern. We narrow it down to 1 or 2 catastrophic options. Then we act as if those were the only choices available. But watch what happens when you treat fear like a smoke detector instead of a drill sergeant. The alarm goes off instead of immediately evacuating or immediately Going back to sleep, you investigate. Where's the smoke coming from? Is it burnt toast or a real fire? Do I need a fire extinguisher or just better ventilation? Think about every time fear speaks to you. Your brain races through scenarios. If I don't get this promotion, I'll never advance. If this relationship ends, I'll be alone forever. If I fail this test, my future is ruined. But are those the only interpretations? What if not getting the promotion means you're free to find a better company? What if the relationship ending opens space for something healthier? What if failing the test teaches you something success never could? Fear says, pay attention, this matters. Everything after that is your translation. This is why dictators throughout history make the same mistake. Fear alerts them to threats. They interpret this as eliminate all opposition, but they could interpret it as build such loyalty that opposition becomes irrelevant, or create systems so robust that opposition strengthens them, or turn potential enemies into allies. Stalin heard fear's warnings and built gulags. Marcus Aurelius heard similar warnings and built philosophy. Same alarm, different interpretation, different outcome. Fear itself is neutral. It's just data. It's information about potential futures, possible dangers, important decisions. It's like your phone buzzing. Could be terrible news. Could be your friend sending memes. Could be a wrong number. The buzz just says input incoming. This is Anakin's tragedy in a nutshell. Fear warned him about losing Padme. He interpreted this as a binary choice, gain dark side powers or watch her die. But the light side had healing techniques. The Republic had medical technology. Other Jedi had faced similar visions. There were paths through the light, beside the light, around the light, with the light. He just couldn't see them because he thought fear was showing him a narrow hallway when it was actually showing him a vast landscape. His narrow interpretation is what created the outcome. By believing there was only one way to save Padme, he took actions that led to her death. The prophecy fulfilled itself not because it was destiny, but because his interpretation made it destiny. It's like being afraid of drowning, so you never learn to swim, so you're more likely to drown. The fear was trying to protect you. Your interpretation is what put you in danger. We do this constantly. Fear of failure makes us not try, guaranteeing failure. Fear of rejection makes us act desperate, ensuring rejection. Fear of being alone makes us cling too tightly, driving people away. But what if we heard fear differently? Fear of failure could mean, this is worth preparing for. Fear of rejection could mean, this relationship matters to you. Fear of being alone could mean, connection is important, cultivate it wisely. Same fear. Different interpretation, different life. Think about that consciousness upload scenario one more time. Fear warns, what if you're not you in the machine? Most people interpret this as, don't do it. But what if you interpreted it as, understand what you means before you decide? What if fear isn't saying no? It's saying, this decision deserves your deepest thought. Because here's the truth. Staying in your biological body as the earth dies isn't avoiding risk. It's choosing certain death over uncertain transformation. Fear flagged the importance of the decision, but fear didn't tell you what to decide. This is what nobody told Anakin. When he stood before the Jedi Council as a 9-year-old boy, trembling with fear about leaving his mother, they saw it as weakness. But what if that fear was strength? The Jedi heard his fear and said, this child will fall to the dark side. They could have heard, this child feels deeply. Teach him to channel that depth into compassion, into healing, into light. Same fear, universe of interpretations. In the end, Darth Vader never stood a chance. Not because he felt fear, but because everyone around him, including himself, believed fear only had one voice, one interpretation, one narrow corridor of options. But fear doesn't speak in corridors. Fear speaks in smoke signals, in warning bells, in raised flags. It says, here be dragons. What you do when you see dragons? Slay them, tame them, ride them, go around them, make friends with them, study them, become them. That's not fear talking. That's you. And somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, a 9-year-old boy is still standing before the Jedi Council, fear trembling in his heart. But in another universe, in another interpretation, someone steps forward and says, "We sense fear in you. Good. Now let us teach you how many ways there are to hear it. Because fear isn't a prison with two doors. Your money or your life, the dark side or loss, fight or flight. Fear is just the alarm bell telling you this moment matters. Everything else, every path, every option, every possibility beyond that first warning, that's always been up to you." If you like this kind of content, please share it.